Well, away from the courts, the ANC and its alliance partners are holding the first political council since the election of President Cyril Ramaphosa as the ruling party's president. The ANC, the South African Communist Party, Cosatu, and the South African National Civic Organization are currently meeting in Johannesburg. On the agenda for the alliance political council is the state of the alliance, strengthening relations amongst the partners, working to strengthen each component and the state of the economy. For more on this particular story, I'm now joined by Professor Somadoda Fikeni in our Pretoria studios. Prof, thanks very much for joining us. Welcome to the program. The first meeting since President Ramaphosa took over the helm of the party. How important is this gathering at this time, given the developments that have taken place since December?
I do think that it is very, very important in a sense because ANC is facing an election. It is also facing many challenges in its various provinces, wherein in some of the instances these involve the alliance partners, as was the case in the Northwest and elsewhere in the country. Therefore, they need to find each other and have a common rhythm, a common message, a common focus, but more importantly, they need to find a reconfigured formula on how they relate with each other, because in the past, it seems like these were abused spouses who keep on living together because they were only energized around the election time, whether it's the election of the leadership of the ANC or the national general elections or local government elections.
We'll talk about reconfiguration just now, but I just wonder, the SACP and Cosatu were very vocal in their support for President Ramaphosa, asking former President Zuma to step down. Will President Ramaphosa feel a pressure to pay some political debt, maybe?
I don't necessarily think that it will be pressure more than reciprocation. Of course, he knows very well that long before some of the regions and the branches of the ANC nominated him for the presidency, the alliance partners were the first ones to nominate him and present him as the next president of the party. It was not until after the policy conference that you started seeing some of the regions coming out clearly to say that they were behind him. So for that reason, he is indebted to them, and he also understands that the ANC is quite fragile at this stage. It needs maximum mobilization of its alliance partners.
You mentioned the word reconfigured, and the SACP spoke about it as well. What would they want to see in this reconfigured relationship? Do they want more power, more strength at the table? What does it mean?
Surely the alliance partners would like to have greater influence in the decision-making of the ANC, whether it's deployments or policy, and many other things of a strategic nature in terms of ideological and policy trust. But ANC would like to maintain the position of being the leader of these alliance partners. So to that extent, they'll have to find a formula between those two positions to say, how do we formalize anything that we can agree on, but make sure that it is reciprocal, it is mutually reinforced by constant and formal arrangements rather than coming up around elections.
Now, some observers, critics, whatever you want to call them, had said that the state of the alliance was at its lowest during President Zuma's tenure, to a point that the South African Communist Party said at their 14th conference that they go it alone and contest elections independently. Might we see a pullback of that view?
I do think that if President Ramaphosa and ANC leadership show positive overtures and also formalize any kind of arrangement, it might weaken those voices within the SACP which have always been saying the SACP should go it alone. And it also may encourage other alliance partners to not raise that particular issue, because at this stage, as I said earlier, ANC is quite vulnerable, divided and weakened in many ways. They need as many friends as possible. They may even have to reach out to the ANC veterans to help resolve some of these issues, especially those people who are no longer having an interest of running for a position or having any interest in deployment.
What about Cosatu? What would they want from this political alliance, apart from more influence? Is there anything else that they would want on the table and want to get out of it?
I do think that in as far as the issue of labor policies and the welfare of workers, because they would want to go back into the labor movement to demonstrate that their alliance partnership has benefited the workers or their constituency somewhat. Remember that Cosatu has been experiencing some hemorrhage of its affiliates, of its members. They would want to claw back and have some degree of stability and clout. So they would want ANC to assist in that process by demonstrating concretely that they are delivering. Some of the things are quite urgent and immediate. That include the escalating prices, the cost of living, which is actually hitting their workers quite, seriously. And that in itself, I think they would like to have a role to play there.
One emotive issue that's really making some sort of headlines of late is the land issue, the land question. Are the alliance partners all on the same page on how to deal with it, or is that something that they're really going to have to negotiate quite strongly in the coming months?
I do think that they are generally on the same pragmatic page, but a page which also says move with great speed, because most of these promises of transformation, redistribution have always been there, and people are beginning to lose faith in these processes, especially where it has been possible to issue the permits or the title deeds to people who have been occupying houses in the townships in some of the cities, and also a rapid redistribution of land which is in the hands of government, or even the one which has absentee landlords.
All right. Professor Somadoda Fikeni, that's where we're going to have to leave it, but thank you very much indeed, as always, for sharing your insights with us. Thank you for your time, sir.